This is a video to help you with the second assignment from Unit 5, 5.2. 5.2 is asking you to do solve by substitution, which was another way of finding the point of intersection between two lines. When you type in your variable here, it's going to give you two equations of two lines. The next question is the exact same. The third question is a word problem, but essentially it's the same thing that you're doing where you try to make two equations and then find where they intersect. So based on what you learn from this first section, you should be able to do that word problem. So this one, what they're asking us, or what we're being asked to look at here, is, just bring this down a bit. Negative x plus 5y equals 8 is supposed to intersect with negative x minus 4y equals negative 1, right? And so the idea would be, how do you use substitution to find where those two things intersect? And those two things are straight lines, by the way, right? Because they each have a single x and a single y. And two straight lines should intersect in one place as long as they have a different slope. The first thing you're going to do in a question like this one is you're going to isolate the easier variable. Now in this question, the easier variable is definitely x because its coefficient is negative 1, whereas y has a coefficient of either positive 5 or negative 4. Either of those would make your job more difficult, so it's easier. Just pick the smallest number that's attached to a variable, and that's the way you should approach this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to isolate x in equation 1. It doesn't matter, you could do it in 2, but I'm just going to work with 1. So I write negative x plus 5y equals 8. I want x by itself, so I'm going to take the 5y to the other side and make it negative. The 8 is already there and it's positive. Now at this point I need to get rid of the negative on x, so I'm going to divide everything by negative 1, right? Like so. So everything gets divided by negative 1. What does that accomplish? On the left side I have negative x divided by negative 1, that gives me x. On the right side I have 5y, subtract 8. And now I've managed to isolate x. Okay? The next thing you're going to do is substitute the isolated stuff in for x in the other equation. Now, when I say isolated stuff, what I'm referring to is the thing that we just found. I'll just put it in red so that we can sort of follow what I'm talking about. That 5y minus 8 is going to go into the other equation. So the other equation is this, right? Except instead of x, I'm going to leave an open bracket. And inside that bracket, I'm going to replace x with what I know that it is equal to. In this case, the 5y minus 8. Okay? Now what I have to do is isolate the other variable. In our case, this is y. So how do I do this? The first thing I need to do is distribute that negative sign so that it affects both the 5y and the negative 8. It makes the 5y negative and it makes the negative 8 positive. Then I have minus 4y equals negative 1. I'm going to collect my like terms with the y's, and I'm going to send the 8 to the other side. And I get negative 9y equals negative 9. You know, as you can imagine, to get rid of that negative 9, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 9. And I find that y is equal to positive 1. Now, when you're solving a point of intersection, of course, you need two things. You need an x value and a y value. So it's not enough to just say that y is 1. We need to keep going. And we need, at step 4, is sub in this value of y into either original equation. Doesn't matter which one you choose. Let's go with the first one. Negative x plus 5y equals 8. Okay? And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go negative x plus 5 bracket bracket equals 8. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace what's in that bracket with y. That's not a great color to choose. Let's try this one. Okay, so I'm going to put the 1 in there, right? So wherever the y used to be, now I'm putting this number. I get negative x plus 5 equals 8, which means negative x equals 3, right? When you bring the 5 over to the other side. and so x must be -3. And this leads me to the conclusion that the point of intersection is -3 and 1. I go back to my question. I go, what's the point of intersection? -3 for x and 1 for y. And I get my code 23.05, and I'm done. The next question will ask you to do the same thing with different values to make sure that it wasn't a fluke, that we actually got it because we knew what we were doing. And the final one is going to ask you to create an equation. It tells you how to make the equation for company A. It's going to ask you to create an equation for company B. You can use the template of what I did with A to help you, and then use your substitution to find the point of intersection.